artist here on Nile Cruse. Thank you very much for joining us.
Hello, how are you?
So, Doctor, like Yasser has introduced, it's a peculiar way of viewing things around us. The regular things that maybe a regular citizen would just look at them, but you see through, you see a different thing. How could we reflect on that?
Actually, I cannot pretend that this is a view of mine. It's a view of all artists, whether in Egypt or outside Egypt. This is a great part of the view coming from any artist. But actually, thanks to Pablo Neruda, because I have some Spanish academic background, and I was completely influenced by Pablo Neruda, the great poem, who wrote actually a great poems about objects. That's why I was inspired in my exhibition in March last year actually, and through his poems I was inspired in order to depict those words into canvas. So thanks to him, the Nobel Prize, Pablo Neruda, 1971, I took some of his ideas through the poems, and then I thought it deeply, and then I tried my hands on canvas through these ideas. It's all thanks to him, I have to say.
How does this reflect on your art? How does it make it different than any other art?
Actually, as a starting point, I thought that as if I were at his position in that time. I mean, say, when I look at the table, it's not just the square or triangle table. No, I have to go through and get the spirit of this object in front of me. It's not just a matter of a piece of wood. No, there is a spirit, there is something behind this object that we have to look at it. It's a glass, it's a chairs, it's whatever is surrounding us has something part of us. Because the carpenter, for instance, who made the table, of course, he added something part of him in order to produce this piece of art.
The common theme of your website is actually pharaonic, of course, going back to the ancestors. But I would like to know, what does this stage of Egypt's history represent to you on a personal level?
For the time being, you speak about this time for the time
yes.
being. Yeah, okay. Actually, you know, Egypt now is passing by a very critical situation in all aspects. And as I say always, that art is always involved in the life of Egypt or wherever. So art is depicting the economic situation, is depicting the political situation, is depicting the social situation, even religion. Everything is involved with art. That's why I say always, centuries and centuries, art was explaining religion, was explaining politics, was explaining economics, etc., and even the social life. That's why there is a lot of interrelation between art and our life, because most of people, they think that artists or art generally speaking, they are completely detached from our daily life, which is not correct. Actually, we have to correct this idea, because art and artists are always detached to the current situations.
You were also influenced by the pharaonic, old ancient Egyptians. How is that also available in your work?
Well, I think it's not that strange, because all of us, all the Egyptians, we have part of this period, this very rich period, which is somehow, it is a kind of a challenge to us, because we say, well, the Pharaoh's time, they have done lots of things, great things, of course, and it's a part of, it's like a challenge for us nowadays. You are challenging your ancestors in order to get the best. And of course, we can say it's part of us. We are living since centuries now.
Well, we know that, Dr. Bartash, you're not only a plastic artist per se, but you've also got varied literary interests as well. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about them?
Well, actually, I believe with the idea of all what I do in life is a hobby. but I take it seriously. I mean, say, when I go to art, it was like a long time ago, like 20 years ago. And I remember first time that I had this encounter with Sabri Ali. Sabri Raghib is one of our prominent artists, of course. He passed away a few years ago. And he encouraged me actually to go in this domain as a hobby. But it's part of my character. I take everything serious in life. I mean, say, it was a hobby at the beginning, but later on I took it seriously. On the other hand, I work for an association, a charity association, which is protecting children or babies actually living with their children in prison. And it's another challenge in life because most of the people, they don't really understand that a criminal woman, she has a baby, and this baby, of course, is a victim. So this is the point of view that we see things as an artist, and also, as I said since a few minutes ago, that artists with the social life or the community are very interrelated, you see.
You have made drawings of certain personalities, such as King Fuad, such as French opera singers.
Yes.
Why did you choose, or how do you choose your portraits of certain persons?
You know, in life everything is interrelated, you know. Recently I met His Majesty King Ahmed Fuad in Geneva when I was in Geneva, and he invited me for lunch. He was really so kind, and I felt as if I were at home. Actually, everything was very nice, and the way that he welcomed me and other friends in that time was very warm to us, you know. Also, I met a lady, is a great lady, Naila Muawad. She was the, of course, the wife of Reni Muawad, the president of Lebanon one day, who was assassinated, unfortunately, a long time ago. And she's really a great lady. I mean, say, whenever you meet these people, you learn a lot from them because they are really great personalities. And when you meet these people, of course, you learn a lot. And they open up a new way of seeing life. That's why life, I consider it as a gift from God. We should not leave it like this. We have to learn from it in every single step that we pass by.
Doctor, we know that you've had an exhibition recently in Ahmed Shawqi Museum, and you're planning for another one at the Cairo Opera House. Is there something in particular in the choice of those locations? I mean, is there an objective behind that?
That's a very good question, actually, and a very intelligent question, I might say, because as I said that I do paintings as a hobby. I mean, say I have to choose perfectly well the location, because the theme that I use or I choose for my exhibitions, for instance, the first one was the solo exhibition about the poetry of poems of Pablo Neruda. And you know, Pablo Neruda, he was a great poem, Chilean poet. So I chose Ahmed Shawqi Museum because he was, of course, a great Egyptian poems. The second exhibition, or the coming exhibition that I'm planning for, is going to be in January next year, inshallah. And it's going to be at the Opera House. Why? Because the theme goes well along with. The theme is going to be about the opera. And this, another passion, another hobby, that's classical music, generally speaking, and the opera in particular. And in this domain, I write articles about opera on monthly basis, in which it's like a friction, and like we interrelate the current situation with art through the opera. I will give you just a small example. There is an opera called Figaro, Le Mariage de Figaro. And the Mariage de Figaro was representing the French Revolution. It was really the first base that played a great role for the French Revolution. I mean, say, even art can play an important role for a political involvement or movement in that time. So on a monthly basis, I write an article about Carmen, Figaro, Tosca. Every month I write articles about this. And some of these artists also, I interviewed some key persons. So
you also wrote articles on your website, what are the topics that attract you to write about?
Mainly opera, because I might say that this is my passion. Opera, I like opera very, very much. Even my children, I'm trying to teach them that in this early age that you have to go to the opera frequently, you know. And something else, I see that this kind of art in Egypt is not taking its an importance stage in Egypt. Most of the people, they think that opera is only for intellectual, for only A-class people, etc. But they don't know that opera is made mainly for public. The creation of opera, yes, since the 16th century, it was made for the public, not for any elites, not for any A-classes. So I take it as a personal mission towards the Egyptian community to speak about the opera. It's not just people screaming in the theater, no. There is an art behind it, and I would say that opera is overwhelming all kind of art. There is a ballet, there is classical music, there is everything inside the opera. So I think it's very important for our public, for our Egyptians people to know more about the opera, because sometimes I feel very sad when I go to the opera and I find the theater is almost empty, because most of the people are foreigners, you know. But it's important to go for this respect.
Indeed. Well, we definitely hope that more and more people would be interested in this beautiful art. Indeed, it is very important. It is very nourishing to the soul as well. But if you learn how to, you know, understand it, probably.
Yes. Actually, of course, for the opera, if we go back to the opera again, is you have to leave yourself to the music. That's very important, and it's a matter of training. You have to train yourself to let yourself go with the music itself. Just to understand about the story, it's not a big deal. But the most important is how to have this sensitivity towards this kind of classical music.
Right. Dr. Mohamed Bartash, the plastic artist and opera lover. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Stay tuned for more coming up on Nile Cruise.